You're a podcast listener, and this is a podcast ad. Reach great listeners like yourself with podcast advertising from Lips and Ads. Choose from hundreds of top podcasts offering host endorsements, or run a reproduced ad like this one across thousands of shows to reach your target audience with Lips and Ads. Go to lipsandads.com now. That's LIBSYN ads.com.
Selling a little or a lot? Shopify helps you do your thing, however you cha-ching. Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business. From the launch your own online shop stage to the first real life store stage, all the way to the did we just hit 1 million orders stage? Shopify's there to help you grow. Shopify helps you turn browsers into buyers with the internet's best converting checkout. 36% better on average compared to the other leading commerce platforms. Because businesses that grow with Shopify. Get a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/promo. Shopify.com/promo.
This episode is sponsored by Horizon Studios. Before we jump into the episode, we wanted to tell you that we have written a book.
It's called Have You Tried This? And it's out now.
It's a one-stop shop to self-care featuring only the very best of what we have learned over 4 years of living and experimenting with all that the wellness world has to offer.
Plus a load of new practices written just for the book. And the best thing?
Every single practice in the book is completely free, and every practice in there really will improve your mental health and well-being.
Link is in our show notes.
Hello everybody, I'm Nicole Goodman.
And I'm Lauren Mishkon, and this is Self-Care Club.
Today's show is one we have wanted to do for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
And it's something that Lauren and I spend most of our time talking about.
Yes, correct.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
And moaning about and ranting about and venting about, feeling resentful about. It actually consumes a lot of our time.
And our mental load.
Well, it is the mental load. It's the mental load. So if you are a woman who has ever complained to your male partner about something they haven't done or forgot to do, then you may have heard them utter the phrase, "Why didn't you just ask?" Well, bingo, my friends, because that is the absolute crux of the mental load. And that is what we are going to be discussing in full, heavily today.
A few disclaimers at the top of the show. The mental load is predominantly an issue between heterosexual couples, especially after they've had children, where the woman in the relationship carries the mental load. So we just want to acknowledge that not everyone listening is heterosexual or is in a heteronormative relationship. But it is a very prevalent issue for those that are. And we also want to acknowledge that this is not a man-bashing exercise or a man-hating episode. It's just a very important feminist issue that we really do feel most women who are partnered up with men who have had children with them are grappling with.
We are going to try for it not to be a man-bashing exercise, but I can't promise.
So what is the mental load? Well, it's also called cognitive labour. Essentially, it's the hidden burden of carrying around a never-ending to-do list in your head. It's the swirling thoughts that women bear the brunt of on a daily basis. It is not the physical tasks and chores which all couples face.
Like what? What are the physical chores?
The bins, the dishwasher, the school run, the sorting out the mortgage, who's going to wash the dog, right? It's the invisible load. That is where the unbalance lies.
Oh, shit, I didn't call the dentist, and she needs a set of a costume for school, and she needs...
It's going into empty the washing machine and seeing that another load needs to come out the dryer. Then you're folding that load, and then you're suddenly remembering, oh gosh, I folded this, but I've just remembered that actually Josh's shorts that he needs for PE tomorrow that I've just folded, they're too small. So I need to make a note to go to the PE shop tomorrow and buy those shorts. Oh, and while I'm there, I need to go to the cash point because I've got to get cash. And so the list goes on and on and on and on. It doesn't end. Like one invisible chore leads to another chore.
Okay.
Right?
Got
It's remembering what needs to get done and when, who needs to be where and when, delegating all this stuff to the family members. And it also includes all the emotional labour, like being the person who listens and comforts and problem solves. And even in most progressive households where couples split the chores, because that does happen more and more these days, the woman is still the head of the family's well-being. And in like offices, there's a job. It's called project manager.
Well, it's not a project manager. It'd be called head of well-being.
Yeah, but do you know what you get paid for it?
You do get paid for it. And it's just making me think of how we give ourselves our own titles, don't we?
Oh, so you and I?
Yeah, so Lauren's COO.
Yeah.
I'm CMO.
I'm also CFO.
If that's what I meant, CFO.
Yeah.
I don't know who is Chief Operating Officer.
I think that's probably you, actually.
Yeah, I think it is me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm CMO.
You're also
head of digital.
You're head of digital.
Head of IT.
Yes, head of IT. And I am the legal department.
You
whole legal department.
You are head of legal.
Deal with all contracts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've got the really boring jobs.
I have. I've got the grey suit jobs.
Yeah. So we do have roles in our job and we get paid for them.
We do. But do you know what it's called at home, that project manager job? It's called no big deal.
Well, it's very thankless. It's a totally thankless task. And if you weren't doing it, it's the only time people would notice what you're doing.
Yes.
Rather than doing it and people notice, it's when you don't do it, people notice, because things just fall to pieces.
So, clubbers, if you're not getting it, if you're still not kind of understanding the mental load, this is it. Let's take school. It's not just drop off and pick up, is it? No, it's school phase, class parties. What else?
Oh, World Book Day, any costumes that they need, when they need to take in a pound, when they need to take in a snack because they've got a school trip, when you're not allowed to, you need to make some cupcakes for a fete that's coming up, but they've got to be nut-free, or
parents' evening, filling in forms.
Oh my God, but even doing the form of parents' evening and trying to get in with every teacher.
Making the appointments.
Making the appointments.
What about?
And also having to go on for parents' evening at exactly the time that the appointments are dropped, because otherwise you won't get on. And oh my God, if you don't see the maths teacher or the music teacher or the history teacher, and all of that. And then my husband just goes, right, what time are we going? I said, we've got to be there at 6.
Yeah.
Great. And then he'll have a go at me. He's like, well, why is one in one building and then we've got to go to that building? I was like, well, you do it
you're not
then.
in charge.
You do it then.
Yeah. What about the exceptions to regular schedule? Half days. Oh, please collect at 11 a.m. Inset days, random inset days in the middle of the week. School trips.
What about when they're sick?
Yes.
What about when they're sick?
Yes.
And for all of my working life, all of my parenting life.
Yes.
My kids are 16 and 13 now, so it doesn't matter. But before this point, if my kids were ill, it's my day that has to get completely cancelled and rearranged.
Excuse me, but who is the school calling? Mum.
Well. So in preparation for this show, I actually asked 2 head teachers, because there was a report that said even when the dad is the first contact on the list of school will still call the mothers.
Mother is default.
Mother is default, even if they are the second primary, secondary contact.
Yes.
So I checked that with 2 head teachers.
What did they say?
My friend Sarah said, I said, is that true?
Yeah.
And she said, yes, it is
God.
absolutely
Oh my
true.
God.
She said, but 9 3/4 times out of 10, the mum is the first contact. She said, I can't really think of any of my parents who the dad is the first contact.
Yeah.
And the other head teacher said, it is actually changing. You see a lot more dads at pickup now than you ever used to, which I saw when I was doing
seen
pickup.
that as well.
I haven't done pickups for 2 years now.
I do see that.
So that is definitely on the change. And she said that they actually have 2 dads on the PTA this year, and it's the first year that there has ever been a man on the PTA. So I said, okay, so that is a little bit of progress. I mean, it's utterly shit.
So this week, my friend, who is a speech therapist, and she says she's going around to different schools and doing different things. Her son wasn't well, and it defaulted to her to pick him up. She had no one to leave him with, so she had to take him with her to her job. She then gets the most snotty email from a woman who's head of something or other to say, I'm sorry, this is completely inappropriate. You can't leave your child. You should have left him with your mother or your mother-in-law. Well, her mother's dead and her mother-in-law lives in France. So
That's disgusting.
right. And her husband is at work. But it's just this. And she was like, well, look, I'm either
Well, like, it's either I cancel, at least I've shown up.
She said, either I'm letting down like 4 children who therefore don't get their sessions, or I lock my child who's 9 in a car in the car park. Like, those were my options. But the option wasn't, Dad, do it. Because Dad's working in the city. No one calls Dad. No one disturbs Dad. Right? It's this bullshit.
When I was a hairdresser, and I had my private salon in my house. So I had a separate salon with a separate entrance, etc., etc.
Yes.
But it was part of the house.
Yes.
When the kids, I'm not joking, so it would be on a Saturday and I would have often I would have 3 clients in the salon at one time. One would have a colour, one would have a keratin on, and one I would be physically doing, right? So there were 3 different things going on.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of activity in the salon and just me working. Adam would be at home. He wouldn't work on a Saturday because he was always looking after the kids. If the kids were hungry, they would come into the salon and say, Mum, I'm hungry. And I would say, look around. Dad is sat on the couch, available and accessible to you. But they would still come to me. And so then I would feel resentful, upset, annoyed. Like, that's not okay.
No. It's not okay.
And that's also not really Adam's fault. I'm not saying it's Adam's fault and it's anything that he is doing differently to how society has taught him to behave. It's a societal problem.
Most of this is a societal problem.
All of this is a societal problem.
And this isn't just about like school and kids, right? It's remembering that the dog needs their jabs, remembering to get a birthday gift for your family, for his family, for your kids' friends who
I've
have
stopped doing
endless.
that. I've stopped doing that.
Have you?
With his family,
Yeah.
I've taken that load off of me.
Good.
And I've said to him, it's your mum's birthday, get a card. I'm not doing it.
Brilliant.
Because it's just another thing.
But hang on. That's still your mental load because you're still saying to him, it's your mum's birthday, can you get the card? So the remembering and the telling him is still on you.
But if he doesn't get it, I used to feel very guilty.
Yeah.
I don't now. Now I've been able to let go of it because it's his mum. It's not my mum.
That's right. But the second step has to be that you do not remind him. That it is his responsibility to have it in his diary.
I don't know if there is enough progress that will ever happen where I don't.
Then you're still carrying the mental load, whether you're physically buying the gift or not. That's still your mental load.
And I'm still saying to my parents, I'm still saying to my kids, make sure you call your grandma. It's her birthday today. Still doing all of that.
Yeah. It's remembering netball club. Every extracurricular activity, you've got to fill in the form. They've got to have the kit. You've got to take
organise
them
the
there.
rota. Got to organise the matches. Got to organise everything that happens around all of those things.
It's remembering that your kid's friend is gluten intolerant. So you've got to buy gluten-free pasta. It's remembering that one of my son's girlfriend's vegetarian. So I've got to buy veggie stuff for dinner. It's play dates. It's forms. It's doctor's appointments. It's new wellies. It's sending get well cards, congratulations cards, anniversary cards, remembering sunscreen, remembering swimwear for holiday, packing for the holiday.
I'm doing that now.
Camps,
Yeah.
meal prep, shopping, cooking, tidying up. It's constant attention to the clock. It's leaving on time. It's being on time. It's giving your kids 5-minute warnings. It is exhausting.
So I had this whole thing that happened last week, right? And I really lost my rag with it. And this is a perfect example. So Daisy has got prom on Thursday. We're now on Monday.
Yes.
So 3 days' time.
Yes.
Last Thursday, so there was a week, she tried on her dress and it didn't fit her.
Yeah.
Right? And it was just wrong. It just didn't fit as it did a couple of weeks, about a month ago.
Yeah.
She tries it on, doesn't fit. She obviously has a total meltdown because she's a 16-year-old kid. Prom is really important. The dress thing is really important. All of her friends have got dresses. You're not allowed to wear the same dress as anyone else. So everyone's sort of like earmarked what dresses they're wearing and where it's from. And it's a whole fucking thing. And I thought it was just a job that I could tick off. So she's in absolute hysterics in the utility room, won't come out. She's like holding it up. It's wrong, it's wrong, it's wrong. Then it breaks, right?
Great.
So she's crying her eyes out. So then Adam comes in and he's like, what's going on? I said, her prom dress is broken. So he says, oh, it's all right. It'll be fine. And I said, that's when I just lost it. And I said, but it won't be fine. It will be fine for you. It's not fine for me because I've got to find time to get her shopping again. I've now got to take these dresses back, which is in town. So that's a whole afternoon or morning.
Yeah.
Then we've got to get her another dress.
Yes.
She's a 16-year-old kid who wants to feel great. And it takes time.
Yes.
All of this stuff takes time, which, by the way, we don't have because we were going away for the weekend. blah, blah, blah. There were all these things happening and the pressure was mounting up on me. And I found it so interesting that he can just say, oh, it's fine. This is not, as in, this is not a problem, but it is a problem. It's just not your problem.
Yeah. It's basically like having too many tabs or windows open on your laptop at once, this mental load. And it is permanent and it is exhausting and it is invisible.
And it never, ever, ever goes away. Because the minute you've ticked one off,
another thing appears.
Another thing
or
appears.
one task will lead to the other task. So you bought the dress for Daisy, but the dress doesn't fit. So then you've got to take the dress back.
I bought the dress, then she needs shapewear, then she needs shoes, right? So then we get all that. Now the dress is not right. So now we're going to have to change the shapewear.
Everything else is going to have to be.
Right.
Yeah.
Then she needs a hair appointment. Then she wants to get her makeup done. She wants to get her nails done. She needs a waxing appointment. Like it is, she wants a spray tan. I mean, I've said no to half of these things, by the way.
Fucking hell.
But it is just doesn't end.
I feel quite glad now that Zach also has prom and my job is buy suit. I will still have to go and buy the suit with him, but that's the end of it. He'll take himself to the bar, but there's no nails and makeup. Yeah. But I've still got to buy the suit. That's on my list now.
By the way, it's 3 days away. We still don't have a dress.
Okay.
Still don't have a dress.
Okay. Maybe you could sew one in your spare time. There was a Mumsnet survey in 2021 that reported that most women take responsibility for less visible chores. So 69% of respondents who lived with a male partner managed all the healthcare appointments and 64% took charge of life admin. But the responses about the physical tasks, like emptying the bin, suggested more even division.
Yeah.
So it has...
I would say that was pretty accurate. It's accurate in my household. Would you say that's accurate
Yeah,
in yours?
I do all the cooking, but I enjoy it and I'm good at it. And Ollie does the clearing up. And it's not like we made this rule, but that's kind of how it happens. And neither is resentful of the other's task. That's just how we divide the labour of cooking in our house, of feeding our family. And I'm cool with that.
I would say you got the better end of the deal with that one. Also, you're an amazing cook.
I enjoy it. It's not like a chore for me.
Yeah.
And he actually sticks in a podcast and does the washing up and he doesn't resent it either. So it's okay. It has improved, this stuff, the physical stuff, since 2014, but progress towards further equality has stalled. So why, in 2024, when there is so much more accountability and discussion around gender roles, is there still such an imbalance? And why, in heterosexual relationships, is the mental load still such a gendered issue?
I think that COVID put us back about 20 years as well. And I think actually, I don't know if it did put us back 20 years. People say it put us back 20 years. I think what it actually did was just uncover the reality of where we are.
Yeah.
And how much we haven't progressed in this area.
Well, Ollie did a lot of cleaning in COVID, and I have a fabulous photo of him just wearing a pair of pants and yellow rubber gloves cleaning the bathrooms. And that to me was like one of the best days of COVID.
I mean...
'Cause that wouldn't happen now.
It's interesting, but I think a lot of what was highlighted is that all this work, this invisible work and the domestic work, if you're a mother who can afford it and who works full time and who needs the extra help, you just outsource this stuff.
Yes.
So what COVID then highlighted was when the outsourcing was taken away and it was then dumped back into the household, the woman automatically takes it as her responsibility.
Yes.
And the man allows her.
But you see, even when if you have a cleaning lady, you're still outsourcing to another woman. It's another woman.
Yeah.
It becomes another woman's load.
Yeah.
Right.
It's so true.
Yeah. There are four.
So true. I never thought about it like that.
There are four main reasons why it's an issue. Firstly, as you said earlier, it's society. It perpetuates the burden of the mental load. Like, it is so ingrained. Things like schools defaulting to phoning mums first. It's just ingrained in the way that we've set up society. So that is the first issue. Like, if it wasn't set up like that, it would be slightly less of a problem, or at least it would change.
But it's an issue from beginning to end.
Yes.
Because it's an issue even with paternity leave. Even
Very
that's an
much
issue,
so.
right?
Yeah.
So maternity leave is much longer than paternity leave. And they're saying, oh, yes, dads can take 6 months off. But what dad is going to do that is probably, I don't know, probably career suicide.
Not in this country, they're not taking 6 months off. They're just not.
Well,
they're not allowed.
They're saying that they can, but they don't.
No, they don't.
I don't know anyone that has. Do you?
No.
But I'm also a slightly older generation. It came in when we were over having our babies.
Yeah.
So even from that point of view, it's completely wrong, because it's going to realistically be the mum that's dropping to nursery or the preschool, and whilst dad goes to work.
It's even earlier than that. Let's say it's 2 weeks, which is your average paternity leave. You've then got like this dad going off to have adventures in the world. Bye-bye, cheerio at 8 o'clock in the morning. And you've got this new mum with the baby on her hip dealing with the invisible and very much physical load of taking care of a child all day. So the father is removed from that domestic activity pretty much at the start of the family's
Adam
life.
didn't even take 2 weeks. He didn't take, we both had our own businesses. So he didn't take 2 weeks. I went back to work pretty quickly because I had my own business. So within 6 weeks, I was back to work on a Friday and a Saturday, which is quick, really quick after having a baby. And Adam took a couple of days, but nothing really. He just went straight back to work.
You see, there's stuff that then becomes ingrained in the household with the children that you are setting up and dealing with alone, and the men are kind of removed from that, and that's not actually their fault.
That's what I mean.
Just the way that
it's a societal
been
problem.
programmed.
So when the kid is coming into me to say I'm hungry, even though I am not available to them, to them I'm always available.
Yes.
And to them, dad is not always available,
Yes.
even when he is and I'm not.
Yes.
That's a societal issue.
Yeah.
It's a big problem.
Do you know any couples where they raise their children completely 50-50? Like the share of everything is really split evenly?
Yeah, I do, actually. I do know a few couples. I do. Yeah.
I know one, and they're younger than me.
I've actually never discussed it with the couple that I'm thinking of, with them, as in, was that a conscious effort?
Yeah.
But my feeling is with them is that she always earned more money than he
I was
did.
just about to say, is she the breadwinner?
So, well, I don't think she's the breadwinner.
Okay.
Because they both have successful careers in their own right. But I think she has probably always earned slightly more than he has.
Yes.
So I think if it is 50-50, then it comes down to who's earning what.
Yeah.
So it becomes a money thing,
Yes.
which makes me really uncomfortable and really quite angry.
Why?
Because why has it always got to be about money? Because I think it then develops a certain power dynamic, which I don't think it should be based on that. Because my worth, right, in the household, I can only speak for myself, is not about it's not just about how I financially contribute to my family, because I contribute so heavily in other ways.
Well, I always have this conversation with Ollie where we talk about how many people would you have to hire if I died tomorrow? And we worked out it would be about 9 people, 9 members of staff, a cook, cleaner, a nanny, a hooker, like all these people that he would have to try and employ to fill the gap of all the a PA, like a chauffeur, all the jobs that I do.
Yeah.
And then I don't know what the maths is, but there is a figure where they say if you actually paid women a salary to complete the jobs, the actual full-time jobs that they perform every day, on top of having an actual paid job, it would be worth thousands and thousands and thousands a year.
But I've always been very interested in this idea that the reason that Adam earns more money than me, and he has always earned more money than me, doesn't matter whereabouts I've been in my career, even when I was running my own business and it was at its busiest, he was still earning more money than me because he always had more time to earn more money than me. I was always the one, and Adam and I never discussed it. I think if I was 30 years old and getting married now, we probably would sit down and have a discussion. But 20 years ago, just wasn't really a thing. I obviously stopped work for those 6 weeks. I only was able to go back to work for part-time after I had the babies. He just carried on. He just carried on building his business. I've spoken about this on the show before. So, and then when they eventually went to nursery, I could then work from Monday to Friday from 9 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. I mean, that's not really much, is it? And then gradually when they went to school, but I would always finish about 2:30, 3 o'clock so I could be there for school pickup. So my work, even though it has felt full-time, has always been part-time.
Yeah.
Because I haven't, I've wanted to be there for my kids because...
Well, hang on, your paid work has always been part-time.
Yes.
But the rest of that time, you're very much still, as All mothers are.
It's maxed
working.
out, totally maxed out, totally.
Yeah.
Busy and maxed out.
Yeah.
But my business and my career, I don't think has had the opportunity to flourish in the way that I wanted it to, financially, professionally, all of the things, because I wanted to be a mum too.
Well, we had this discussion in the motherhood show. It's like at the point for most women, unfortunately, your fertility and the sort of years when you're having your babies will coincide when your career is really going to be like climbing up a ladder. And I personally am not a believer in women can have it all. Something has to give, and it's normally the woman. It's normally your sanity.
It's normally the woman. Yeah, exactly. It's normally your sanity, your mental health, in having it all, in having the big career, in being a really present mother, in being able to exercise and being really healthy and doing all of these things for yourself.
You can't be in two places. You just
can't be in four places. You just cannot.
No.
So I always had a really good balance. Always had a really good balance. And I was just about to say, because I was lucky, it wasn't luck. It was hard work. And I'd worked really hard for 20 years in order to have that balance. But it was at the cost of me pushing my career to the place that I wanted it to go, for sure.
But neither Adam or Ollie's careers were dented,
they weren't impinged by it in any way,
or impacted by having children. Yes, it would have put more financial responsibility and strain on them. Yes, 100% for sure, because there's more mouths to feed in the house.
But that might have driven them more. You don't know.
Definitely in Ollie's case, yes.
I think in Adam's case too.
But it doesn't prevent them or hold them back. There isn't necessarily more
doesn't
on
prevent
their,
them or hold them back. So the interesting thing about how you and I work is that we start work usually around 10:30, 11 every morning, don't we?
Yeah.
And then that's because you and I both have shit to do. Okay, I'm not going to the gym at the moment, but I go to the gym. I then have to walk the dog. You have to walk the dog. I then have to do the washing,
all the household stuff,
the dishwasher,
all the household stuff,
put all the
everything
house back together. That's an hour.
Of course.
So there's all of that. And then I can start work.
Yeah.
Right. Adam, he gets up, he goes to work.
Has a shower, goes to work.
Right. Yeah. So he doesn't have this 4 hours in the morning where he has to get everything together and sorted and organised and what's for dinner and who's got a doctor's appointment today and who needs to do this and when do I need to email the school. And he doesn't have any of that mental load because he just gets up and goes to work. And then what happens is we meet at 10:30, 11 o'clock, and then at 2:40 every day, you have to go and do the school pickup.
Yeah.
So we have this 3 hours a day, really, Monday to Thursday, Monday to Friday, to work.
Yeah.
So our business has done what our business has done, and it's done pretty well considering we have 3 hours a day to do it.
This episode is brought to you by Notion.
Have you ever stumbled upon a tool that feels like it's been tailor-made for you? Well, that's exactly how we feel about Notion. Simply and beautifully designed with all your notes and docs in one place and the power of AI built inside. It's where every idea, task and episode comes to life effortlessly.
Notion merges creativity with productivity seamlessly. Whether we're planning out our episode schedule, collabing on show notes or tracking guest invitations, it's perfect for those who may be becoming a little forgetful in midlife.
Hey, just the other day we used it to map out an entire season of our podcast in record time, and that's why Notion has become an indispensable part of our podcasting toolkit. It even wrote this intro for us.
Notion is more than just a workspace. It's our secret weapon for success in the digital age. Notion is a place where any team can write, plan, organise and rediscover the joy of play. It's a workspace designed not just for making progress, but getting inspired.
Notion is for everyone, CEOs, students and Lauren. If she can manage to navigate it, anyone can.
Try Notion for free when you go to notion.com/selfcareclub.
That's all lowercase letters, notion.com/selfcareclub, and start turning ideas into action. And when you use our link, you're supporting our show.
Notion.com/selfcareclub.
You're a podcast listener, and this is a podcast ad. Reach great listeners like yourself with podcast advertising from Lips and Ads. Choose from hundreds of top podcasts offering host endorsements, or run a reproduced ad like this one across thousands of shows to reach your target audience with Lips and Ads. Go to lipsandads.com now. That's LIBSYN ads.com.
The other thing is men are just not raised to take an equal initiative at home, and it wasn't necessarily modelled by their parents either. So this kind of unpaid domestic labour, all of this stuff, it can feel a bit beneath them or a little bit foreign to them or just not kind of coming naturally. But women also have a lifetime of experience attending to others' needs, deprioritising their own needs. And also I think, feel a pressure to perform these gendered roles. Like we've internalized being a good mother, in inverted commas, and a good homemaker. And we're also given dolls and Cindy houses. I actually was thinking about this last night.
Babies. Young girls are
buggies,
giving babies in a fucking buggy.
Nappies.
Boys are giving trucks or...
Transformers.
Yeah, He-Man. I know that's really old. But
I loved He-Man.
But, you know, they
Paw Patrol, fighting, saving, rescuing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I actually was thinking last night when I was tidying up my house, oh my God, I've been tidying houses forever. And I was thinking about my most coveted toy ever, which was my Cindy house that I got, I think I was about 6. I spent hours tidying
I just
the
want to cry.
fucking
I just
Cindy
wanna
house.
cry. I want to cry.
Making her bed.
That's you playing. That was
my play. That was my free play that I chose to do.
Well, did you? But this is the interesting
No,
part of the discussion.
I wanted that Cindy house.
Hold on a second. I know you wanted the Cindy house.
Yeah.
I also had a Barbie house.
Right.
Right. So
Did it have a slide from the roof?
It had a fireplace that worked. It crackled.
Shut
And it lit
up
Yes,
with a battery behind it.
did.
Oh my God, that is so bougie for the 80s.
It's amazing. But you say that that's how you want it. That's what you wanted. But it's what we are indoctrinated to think that play is, or how we are supposed to enjoy ourselves. How much of a choice is it really? How much of a choice is it really?
I don't know, because my brother had like a ton of cars. He had all the He-Man, he had the Transformers, he had all of that. And I had all the Cindy, Barbie.
But that's what I
dollies,
mean.
Tiny tears.
We are conditioned for these things.
Yeah.
Like when I had Lily Rose, my second daughter, for the baby gets the older sibling a gift.
Yes.
We bought her a baby.
I bought Max a helicopter.
There you go.
There
Well,
you
that just
go.
says everything, doesn't it?
Yeah.
She got this
Yeah.
baby doll.
Yeah. Also, men often tell their partners, exactly like Adam did this week with the prom dress, don't worry, it'll be fine, right?
But in a way of, well, you make it such a big deal out
But
of
the
it
truth
for.
is, it's actually the women, the mothers that get judged if the house is messy or their kid shows up without the right thing, right? So if someone
Totally.
comes to pick up their kids from your house and it's a complete sty,
Yeah.
they're never going to go home and go, gosh,
that guy.
Adam keeps a messy house. It's always going to be on you. God, Nicole's a bit of a slattern. Her house is like a real tip. No one's ever going to mention
Or
him.
not even mention it or just think it. You're right. It comes back to the woman because it's the woman's responsibility.
Or Josh turns up with like a filthy, dirty school uniform and doesn't bring packed lunch on packed lunch day. My God, Lauren, like she's really not on top of it. Like would never occur to them that was Ollie's job.
In the run up to this show, I've obviously been thinking about it. And on Saturday night, we went out. And I always say, it doesn't matter at what point I walk into the kitchen, I always have to clear something up.
Of course.
Always.
Of course.
Doesn't matter what time of day it is.
Yeah.
So we walked in on Saturday night. It was about midnight. We'd had a gorgeous evening. And I walked into the kitchen and my daughter had been on her own there all night and she hadn't really cleared up her dinner. She kind of had, but she hadn't really in a 13-year-old way. And I walked in and I was like, oh. And I said, see, I never, ever come in here and don't have to clear something up. So I start clearing up everything up because I don't want to come down to it during the day, the next morning. And Adam goes straight to bed. And then he starts shouting from upstairs, can you bring up some water? Can you bring up my glasses? Can you, and he's in bed, right? So I go upstairs and I said, it just drives me crazy how I automatically go into the kitchen to clear it up because I know I've got something to clear up. And you automatically go upstairs. He said, yes, but the difference between you and me is I don't care if it's messy.
He doesn't. That's true. They don't see it in the same way.
I don't care if I come down to it in the morning, whereas I very much care.
Yeah. So he's basically saying it's like your own fault for caring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know how not to care.
I know, I don't either. But there are people who don't care. I'm not one of them either, but there are people who care less.
I like to come down to a really tidy
So
kitchen.
do I, but you and I are not indicative of everybody.
So
but,
I am doing it to myself as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we all want to live in a tidy house. We do.
I think so. So let's talk a bit about the consequences of the mental load. The bottom line is...
Isn't that what we're doing?
Yeah, but the bottom line is inequality in the home is bad for women's progress, it's bad for the economy, it's bad for marriages, and it's bad for children. There was a report in 2022 that found that the mental load produces a state of perpetual mental awareness that requires a working mother's constant mental presence. The mental load can be overlapping, constant, limitless, and invasive, and it contributes to women continuing to feel under pressure.
I so hard relate to every single word there.
When
Like,
more
could
women
cry,
yeah.
I relate to it so much.
When more women work, the economy grows. Women who
Yes,
report
yes.
that they do more childcare than their husbands experience high resentment and are much less likely to describe their marriages as very happy than women who say their responsibilities are shared.
Wow.
Research from the US.
That is problematic.
Yes. Research from the US, the UK, and Sweden has found that couples are more likely to separate when male partners participate less in the domestic sphere than couples in which men do more. And most importantly, and this is for me, the thing that annoys me, it puts us in the position as the one holding the knowledge of being the manager or the project leader of the house who has to request the help. I think of it as like I am in the control tower at the airport and I am trafficking, like helping all the planes.
But that would be your paid job, right? So when you're doing the washing, and Adam does this a lot, and I'm going to sound like really grumpy about this now, and he'll come in and say, "Oh, do you want me to help?" Obviously, it's kind and very nice that he comes in to offer help. And I said to him the other day, again, thinking about the show, you offering to help me would suggest that it is my job first.
Correct.
Before it's yours. So he then rolls his eyes, right? And oh, God, I was only coming in to ask you for help. You don't want it. Like, I don't need a fucking lecture. All of that. Because then I'm the nag.
Correct.
But what I'm actually trying to do very badly is educate him to get the language correct so that we don't have to keep having this back and forth and that I end up feeling resentful.
Correct. But when your partner, anyone's male partner, says, well, you should just ask, I don't know why you're nagging about it, you should just ask me to empty the dishwasher. It perpetuates this cycle of the woman being in charge and shouldering the burden. When men depend on their wives to tell them what to do, they are abdicating themselves from responsibility of management and their share of the load. And that is where this misalignment comes in. And that is where the perception of how couples split their domestic chores, because the partner believes they've done their share without really acknowledging the mental energy that is expended by their female partner in them doing it, right? And sometimes, and this is the worst thing of all, when women give over control of a task to a man, they are not proactive enough. So it then reinforces that you can't let go of it. E.g., have you bought your mum's present and gift? And then you don't trust them to have done it. So then you're having to nag them and then they actually buy them something that is actually really terrible. Or sometimes...
Which then comes back on you.
Because it sometimes leads to the worst thing of all, weaponized incompetence. I hate weaponized incompetence.
I'm cringing.
For those who don't know what it is,
I'm cringing.
It's when partners either deliberately or unconsciously feign mediocrity or an inability to complete a task to avoid doing it and therefore manipulate the other person into doing it. It's like this. If your partner asks you for a list before you go to the supermarket, rather than just looking in the fridge with the two eyes that God gave them, the same two eyes that women have got. It's that. If they phone you from the supermarket.
Always.
Well, when you said wraps,
Always.
did you mean tortilla wraps or crunchy wraps or just go to the supermarket and buy? Don't phone me. Don't make it my load, right? It's when they tell you.
Listen, every time Adam does a pickup or a drop off, I get a phone call. Every time. Every supermarket run, anything I ask him to do outside the house, I always get a phone call. But in their defence, they just want to get it right. And they just want to make you happy, which is why he phones to check that he's doing it right. I know that, but it is so annoying.
But it perpetuates this thing that you
Yes.
and I and all
Yes.
women are biologically or naturally inclined to complete or manage tasks.
And also because
right?
I asked you to do it because I don't have the capacity to do this right now. Whether it's physically or mentally, I just need you to do it.
I wasn't born with this like amazing ability to understand how to do a whitewash or get stains out of things, or how to know when school trousers are too short, or how to use the eyes that God gave me to spot that Josh needs a haircut. Like it wasn't a special, oh, you have a vagina, these are your special skills.
But Adam does things like, it's very default. So I'll say to him, like he'll be by the fridge and I'll be on the couch. And I'll say, oh, can you pass me an apple? He'll immediately go, well, where are the apples? Well, you know where the apples live. You do know where the apples live because you live in this house. And I said, well, they're in the fridge because where else would the apples be? I just meant where in the fridge. I said, but all I'm going to do is come over and look in the fridge with the same eyes and figure out what shelf they're on in the fridge.
I have a postcard on my fridge, which is a photo, like a 50s photo of a woman and a man standing next to an open fridge. And it just says on it, male refrigerator blindness strikes another victim. And this happens all the time, standing in front of the fridge with the door open. Men. Yeah, where is the X?
My
fridge.
favourite one is not even where is the, because I get a lot of where is the. What have you done with the?
Oh, what have you done with the? Yes.
The what have you done with her is my absolute pet peeve.
My friend just made an executive decision as mother of 3 children and has a husband too, that when anyone in her household asks her where things are, even when she knows where they are, she says,
I don't know.
Oh, I'm really sorry I haven't seen it. Even if she has seen it, that's what she says, because she says, I am not taking on the mental load of everybody here being incompetent, of using their own eyes to find it.
Also, think about it, right? Because this happened this morning. Lily Rose said, where's my blazer? I said, utility room. She walked into, no, it's not. I said, it's hanging up on the left. Like, I knew exactly where it was.
Why is it our job to know where everything is at all times?
Think about the mental energy it takes to, you're like going round the house with this laser beam of beep, 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 and you're clocking, oh, there are Daisy's shoes when she comes down in an hour and she doesn't know where they are. There's her coat that she's just thrown over the couch from yesterday because she's just left it there. Like,
oh, there isn't really very much bread. There won't be enough for toast in the morning. So I better make sure when I'm out, I'm going to get some bread so that there's toast tomorrow. It's all that. It's
when
all
I
of
had,
that.
this is so funny. When I had my operation a few weeks ago, obviously I was out.
Yeah.
Completely out. I was in hospital for 2 days and I couldn't do anything afterwards. I couldn't drive, couldn't do anything. We ran out of milk.
Yeah.
There was a discussion about milk for about 48 hours because Lily Rose, my youngest, kept saying to Adam, we're running out of milk. She has cereal every morning. We're running out of milk. Okay, I'll get some milk. We're running out of milk. Okay, I'll get some milk. Dad, we really need some milk. Dad, we've run out of milk. Dad, there's no milk. Like, that shit wouldn't have happened if it was on my watch.
Because you would have seen there's half a pint left. Obviously, I'm going to top up the milk.
Just go and get
I've literally done that
So
today.
I said to him at like 7 a.m, can you just pop down to Tesco's and go, I'm not going to go now. She can have something else. Well, okay. Well, she doesn't want something else. Just get the milk. Just get the milk.
It's
the milk.
It's so special. It's so special. This whole
But we also don't help with it.
No, we don't. We don't help with it, but neither does society, because we have, as we talked about before with the Cindy House, gendered children or labelled girls as emotional and caregivers and boys as kind of practical, and this all contributes to these gender normative roles in society, and we carry them out, right? We carry it on. And also there was an imbalance that kind of has its roots in the advertising campaigns of the 80s, because it encouraged women out into the workplace, and the message was women can have it all, go to work.
But they didn't actually explain how to have it all.
No, they did not.
They just expected you to then triple your workload and basically do it all.
And by the way, all the adverts aimed at men in the same era did not address the shift in the household dynamics.
For them.
Surely,
because they would need to take some of the load on in order for women to have it all.
Well, that didn't happen.
No, of course it didn't.
So women just added their work on top of their domestic work, and it became a gendered issue because it wasn't addressed by any of the previous generations. And now, even now, women who earn more money than their male partners are still doing more of the domestic labour. So there is nothing forcing you or I or any woman to carry the mental load. But
the fact that
what would happen if we stopped?
Well, we wouldn't have any fucking milk.
We'd have no milk.
But you know what I mean?
No, we wouldn't. We'd have no milk.
It's a good example.
Yeah.
Because there just wouldn't be any milk. And if no one had been basically reminding him 20 times to get the milk, and I get why it's not normally on his mental load. So he's not going to remember that. I get that.
Yeah.
It's not his normal role.
Yes.
But like, you know, I'm going into hospital again tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I'm quickly doing a cardo shop today because I know that
everyone is
getting everything together.
Because if you don't sort it out, then the whole family suffers.
Because what is going to happen by tomorrow night at 7 p.m. when Daisy comes downstairs and goes, "What's for dinner? I'm hungry," and there's no food in the fridge. Like, you know, you've got to be in front of this stuff.
Yeah. So we can't solve the mental load because we just can't.
No.
But here's a kind of few little tips and tricks or things that might help a little tiny bit. How do we explain the mental load to our partners and make changes? Well, there's a few ways. You can have a clear, non-confrontational discussion.
No, that's not an option. Next.
You can. You can.
How are you going to do that?
Try framing it as a discussion. Explain that you want to share the household management, not just the chores themselves, because partners can get very, very defensive. You can also show your male partner this amazing comic by the French cartoonist Emma.
Yes.
It is the most brilliant and clear example of the mental load. If you just put into Google, "You should have asked Emma," you will see this cartoon and it's brilliant. And we did both show it to our husbands, didn't we? You can also stop being grateful. We are so conditioned to expect so little help at home. So when we get anything, we feel like we should be grateful.
All that does is create this divide that it's my job over your job.
Yes.
Oh, thank you so much for emptying my dishwasher, that I'm the only one that uses the plates and the cutlery.
Me.
Thank you so much for emptying the washing machine full of your clothes. No.
It's fine to expect men to do their fair share.
But then also they'll come in and they'll say, won't they?
I emptied the dishwasher.
Okay,
I cleaned. I fed the dog.
Brilliant. Thank you. Oh, no, not thank you. Brilliant.
And I told you the other night we had a dinner party and I'd obviously cooked it all and I went to bed and he came down the next morning and he'd done the washing up, but he did everything, like cleared the dishwasher, put the dishes away. Like the kitchen was completely pristine and I had to bite my lip to not say thank you to him, because I just thought if I do say thank you so much, it's so amazing
because
to come down,
it says that it's your job over his.
But you know what? It was amazing to come down to that and I was so grateful.
But does he ever say thank you when you do that? Because I do it all the time. He never comes down and said, "Oh my God, thank you so much for clearing up the kitchen after last night's dinner." Never.
I know.
Never. And I don't expect him to, by the way.
It's hard, isn't it?
It is hard.
By
this
the
is
way,
all hard.
you can give them the stats. These are the stats. They're not pretty. Men benefit more from marriage from women. Women are less satisfied in their marriages than men and tend to be the initiators of divorce.
That's really sad.
Women are also
really sad.
happier than men after the divorce. Oh, and also, if you take on more childcare duties, it's associated with a better sex life. So you could remind him happiness and your sex life is dependent on this.
Is literally foreplay.
Oh, God, yeah. A sparkling kitchen.
There's any men listening, just empty the dishwasher.
It will give your wife the right horn.
A lot quicker.
Yeah. You can let go of your home and your life being perfect. I can't do that, but maybe you could. It doesn't solve the mental load.
I do let go of that sometimes, because otherwise my entire life would be picking shit up. I don't want my life to be picking shit up all the time.
No,
I just
nor
don't.
should you.
Thank you.
You can remind your partner. Don't ask what you can do to help. Figure it out by yourself. You are not a junior associate of mine. You are an equal partner in this relationship. Scan the room for the mess. Do the legwork for the task. Make that doctor's appointment rather than reminding me to make the doctor's appointment. Like, please participate in our life. That. And lastly, and most importantly, model what you want your children to see. Children soak up the parent dynamics. So if you want your kids to grow up and expect equality in their relationships, model an egalitarian household.
All very interesting tips that we should definitely put to practice.
Yes.
We should put it to practice and we should report back on how we're finding it.
And if it's too late, maybe for us.
No.
I hope it's not too late for my kids.
It's not too late.
Isn't it?
No, it's not.
God, this is a big topic.
Listen, Adam does a lot more around the house than he used to, for sure. There is no doubt about that. But it's definitely not 50-50.
No.
But he definitely does more and it has improved. But it's taken a lot of moaning and a lot of arguments to get there. And it's very tiring. And again, it's not his fault.
A big subject, Mrs. Goodman. A big subject.
Listen, and we will talk about it forevermore because it's my favourite thing in the whole world to complain about. It is. I enjoy complaining about it. I'll be honest.
Clubbers, we'd love your feedback on the mental load.
Where are you at on the mental load? How do you feel about it? What are you struggling with? What are you dealing with in your own household? Please let us know. hello@theselfcareclub.co.uk. We will be back on Friday for another weekly wellness roundup show. And please do message us with your thoughts.
See you then.
Hello, it's Mr. P here.
And the other Mr. P.
And we are the hosts of Two Mr. P's in a Podcast.
The educational podcast where you don't actually learn a thing.
No, instead we explore the weird, wonderful and downright hilarious things that happen in school from people actually doing the job. We reminisce on our own time at school, funny things we experience each day. And of course, we share your hilarious stories from the chalk face. So if you work in a school or just want a nostalgic trip down memory lane, sit up straight, fingers on lips, and get ready for the lesson.
Hello everyone, I'm Kat Farmer. And I'm Marianne Jones. And we want to ask, are you past giving a toss about what people think? If so, then please join us for our twice-weekly podcast, Been There Done That, Got the Podcast, where we wang on about misbehaving hormones, inappropriate crushes, and debatable fashion, all while navigating the banana skins of life in a mid-heel. Download Been There Done That, Got the Podcast wherever you listen to your pods.